Hello and welcome. Tonight, we dig into a uniquely American legend. It is a story born from the frontier spirit, a tale of Wild West adventure, immense fortune, and a secret protected not by a map, but by an intellectual fortress. It is a mystery that has tormented treasure hunters and humbled the world's greatest codebreakers for 2 centuries. This is a story of a promise, a locked box, and 3 pages of numbers that could lead to one of the largest buried treasures in history. This is the definitive deep dive into the Beale Ciphers. Our story begins not with a mystery, but with the publication of a humble 50-cent pamphlet in 1885. Titled The Beale Papers, it was published by a man named James B. Ward, and it laid out a tale so tantalizing that it has inspired an obsessive hunt ever since. The story, as Ward tells it, revolves around a Lynchburg, Virginia, innkeeper named Robert Morris. In January of 1820, a tall, charismatic, and mysterious stranger named Thomas J. Beale checked into Morris's inn. Beale and his companions were adventurers, and he spent the next 2 months as a popular and respected guest before heading west again. 2 years later, in January 1822, Beale returned. Before departing for what would be the last time, he entrusted Morris with a small, locked iron box. He told the innkeeper it contained papers of real value and importance. He then gave Morris a letter and a strange instruction. If he, Beale, did not return within 10 years, Morris was to open the box. Beale also promised that he would mail the key to the ciphers contained within the papers to Morris from St. Louis. He then departed and was never seen or heard from again. Robert Morris was a man of his word. For the next 23 years, long past the 10-year deadline, he waited faithfully for the promised key that never came. Finally, in 1845, his curiosity overcoming his promise, he broke the lock on the iron box. Inside, he found not treasure, but a puzzle. There were 2 handwritten letters from Beale and 3 sheets of paper, each densely covered in a seemingly random series of numbers. One letter described a thrilling adventure. It told of how Beale and a party of 30 men, while hunting buffalo in the West, had stumbled upon a rich deposit of gold and silver. For 18 months, they mined this treasure, eventually amassing a fortune so vast they needed to secure it. They decided to transport it back east and bury it in a secret vault near Buford's Tavern in Bedford County, Virginia. The 3 numbered pages, the letter explained, were ciphers. The first described the exact location of the vault. The second described the contents of the treasure, and the third listed the names and residences of the 30 men who were its rightful heirs. For the next 20 years, Morris dedicated his life to solving the ciphers. He tried everything he could think of, but the numbers remained a meaningless jumble. He was tormented by the secret he held. Finally, as an old man, fearing he would take the secret to his grave, he confided in an unnamed friend. This friend, who would later become the pamphlet's author, James B. Ward, inherited the papers and the obsession. Ward spent months attacking the puzzle. He reasoned that the ciphers were likely a book cipher, a type of code where the numbers correspond to the first letter of words in a specific text. For example, the number 10 might mean the first letter of the 10th word in the book. The problem was finding the key text. Ward tried every book he could think of, the Bible, Shakespeare, but nothing worked. Then one day, he had a flash of inspiration. What was a document that every American adventurer, every patriot, would have known by heart? He tried the United States Declaration of Independence. He took the second cipher, the one said to describe the treasure, and began the painstaking process. He took the first number, 115, and counted to the 115th word in the Declaration of Independence, instituted, and took the first letter, I. The second number, 73, led to the 73rd word, for, giving him an F. He continued this process, number by number, letter by letter. Slowly, miraculously, a coherent message began to emerge from the chaos. He had cracked it. The decoded message of the second cipher is what gives the entire Beale legend its power and credibility. It is a clear, concise, and thrilling account. It reads, in part, I have deposited in the county of Bedford, about 4 miles from Buford's, in an excavation or vault 6 feet below the surface of the ground the following articles. The first deposit consisted of 1,014 pounds of gold and 3,812 pounds of silver deposited in November 1819. The second was made Diesparders 1821 and consisted of 1,907 pounds of gold and 1,288 of silver. Also jewels obtained in St. Louis in exchange for silver to save transportation. The above is securely packed in iron pots with iron covers. The total value of this treasure, in today's money, is estimated to be over $63 million. The message was proof. The treasure was real, but Ward's triumph was short-lived. He now had the key to one cipher, but to his immense frustration, the Declaration of Independence did not work on the other two. The first cipher, the most crucial one detailing the location, and the third cipher, listing the heirs, remained stubbornly unbreakable. After years of failure, Ward claimed he had exhausted his time and resources. In 1885, he published the pamphlet, making the story and the ciphers public, in the hope that some clever mind out there could solve the final two puzzles and unearth the fortune. And so began the modern hunt. For over 130 years, the Beale Ciphers have been a siren song for cryptographers, computer scientists, and treasure hunters. The unsolved first cipher, an 819-character behemoth, has been subjected to every conceivable form of cryptographic attack. The world's best code breakers, from the NSA to amateur sleuths, have tried to find its key. They've tried the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Magna Carta, every version of the Bible, the works of Shakespeare, and countless other texts. Supercomputers have spent thousands of hours cross-referencing the cipher against entire libraries of documents, all to no avail. The puzzle is maddeningly complex. Cryptographic analysis shows that cipher number 1 has a different statistical profile than the solved cipher number 2. The distribution of numbers is different, suggesting it may not be a simple book cipher, or if it is, it uses a much more obscure or even a personal custom-written key text. Some have suggested it's a double cipher where the decoded letters must then be unscrambled using another method. The possibilities are nearly infinite. This incredible difficulty, combined with a total lack of historical evidence, has led to a powerful and compelling counter-theory that the entire story of Thomas J. Beale and his treasure is a masterful and elaborate hoax. The arguments for a hoax are formidable. Firstly, there is no historical trace of Thomas J. Beale. Exhaustive searches of census records, military rolls, and local histories have turned up no man who fits his description. There is no record of his mining party. There is no evidence from the U.S. Postal Service that he ever mailed the promised key from St. Louis. He seems to be a complete ghost. Secondly, many researchers believe the author of the pamphlet, James B. Ward, was not just a publisher but the creator of the entire legend. The name James B. Ward itself is suspected to be a pseudonym. The theory is that Ward invented the story and the ciphers as a clever scheme to sell his 50-cent pamphlet, never imagining it would become a national obsession. The most damning piece of evidence against the story's authenticity comes from within the decoded text of cipher number 2 itself. Linguistic analysis has revealed the use of several words that were not in common English usage until decades after 1822, when the message was supposedly written. For example, the word stampede to describe a rush of animals did not appear in print until the 1840s. The word improvise was also extremely rare at the time. These anachronisms strongly suggest the text was written not in the 1820s, but much later, likely in the 1880s, right before the pamphlet was published. Some have even proposed that the true author was the master of cryptography and hoaxes himself, Edgar Allan Poe. Poe lived in Richmond, Virginia, was fascinated by ciphers, and even wrote a story called The Gold Bug, which involved a treasure map hidden in a book cipher. While a romantic notion, there is no direct evidence linking Poe to the Beale papers, and yet the case for authenticity persists. Why would someone create a hoax of such incredible complexity? The ciphers are not just random numbers, they have a sophisticated, non-random structure that is very difficult to fake. To create 3 such ciphers and a key for one that so perfectly aligns with a national document, would require a genius-level understanding of cryptography, far beyond what would be needed for a simple money-making scheme. Furthermore, the story told in the pamphlet of the innkeeper Morris's long, patient wait and his ultimate failure has a ring of psychological truth to it. And the solved cipher, with its thrilling tale of adventure, provides just enough proof to keep the dream alive. This dream has fueled a very real treasure hunt. For decades, treasure hunters, armed with everything from shovels to ground-penetrating radar, have descended upon Bedford County, Virginia, digging up the countryside in search of Beale's vault. They have found nothing but frustration. The Beale Ciphers remain a perfect, self-contained mystery. The solved cipher is the bait, a tantalizing confirmation that a vast treasure is real. The unsolved ciphers are the lock, a cryptographic fortress that has proven impregnable for 2 centuries. It is a puzzle that pits the promise of unimaginable wealth against the high probability of an ingenious fraud. Whether Thomas J. Beale was a real adventurer who left behind a tragic, unsolved legacy, or a fictional creation of a 19th century marketing genius, he crafted a legend more durable and more valuable than gold. The true treasure of the Beale ciphers may not be buried 6 feet deep in the Virginia hills, but hidden in plain sight in the elegant, taunting, and unbreakable strings of numbers that continue to challenge and obsess us to this day.